Welcome to the February interview for the Corporate Catrerer. I'm joined today by Bridget Robinson. Bridget has spent more than a decade in the catering and food service industries. She has worked in a variety of positions from coast to coast. And most recently, she spent about 10 months learning the system that Michael has put together and helping him to run a catering business. So we thought that Bridget would be the perfect person to bring in to talk about how this Get Organized chapter all looks when it's actually put into practice. So Bridget, thank you very much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you.
So I want to start by just sort of observing that for someone who doesn't already do a lot of this Get Organized stuff, this seems like it's a lot of very, very detailed, meticulous stuff. Can you speak to why it's necessary to go into that much detail?
Yes, I can, especially after I had some experience in California before working with Michael, and the system that they had there was nothing in compared to it. So then once I met Michael and saw this amazing system and tool that he had developed, I knew I wanted to work with him because I was like, wow, this is going to be great. This is in place. I can see that working with the team there will be much easier since everyone must be in the know and they're all able to do different jobs and be responsible for it. And it's just good to be an employee and have that toolbox so that you can get things answered, do it the right way, and give your customers everything that they need.
Okay, so on giving your customers everything that they need, can you say about like how it affected the quality of the product that went out the door?
It's amazing that putting that much time into the organization, you knew because there could be four in a typical corporate order that's placed, four people, sorry, that may touch the hands of an order. Each one of those people, when you have this organized system, are able to check and double check are the forks in there, are the plates, and they can't blame it on Sally. They all have the tools to know, okay, this is what needs to go in the bag, and I'm responsible for checking that, and I know that that's what needs to be in there. So having this system or handbook that we used when I was working with Michael really just makes your staff seamless and just makes them all responsible for giving the customer the best product that they can and, representing your company well, no matter who they are.
Interesting. And Michael talks about that there's some significant cost control benefits that accrue from a system like this as well. Can you speak to cost control?
Yeah, I mean, knowing the amount of, okay, I'm going to give them a couple extra plates in case one gets dropped, or this amount of napkins, or maybe, this much mustard or dressing, those things were all determined, when we work together. And whether you're doing a small group or something for 300, if you have that event for 300, because you've already put in the work, you know exactly what you need for that large event. So if you want to grow to be able to do those large events, those small little calculations are going to help you on a daily basis. So you know how much you should have in stock. You're not wasting product by throwing it away. And you're ready to take that big step and do a large event because you know exactly what you need, and it just makes you feel successful, and it's just easy. If someone needs to place a paper order, they know exactly what needs to be in for a weekly amount. Just all of those things really add up, and there's no guesswork because you don't want to have guesswork when it comes to trying to stock your restaurant. So.
Great. And so one of the other benefits that we've talked about is that this impacts your work-life balance. Can you say why and how it impacts that?
It impacts just being part of Michael's leadership team where we work together. Each one of us could train or help an employee with someone. If Michael was off doing this, I could easily answer a question for the employee. I have all the answers in front of me because we've laid out all the groundwork. And then in turn, that person is then able to, oh, I kind of had a question about this. Oh, well, I can refer back, and I don't have to keep interjecting phone calls or waiting for somebody to be available because I have all the answers in front of me here. So that starting at a new job can sometimes be really hard, and it feels good that you can know, okay, I can go to this, all this information and answer my own questions as many times as I need to, so I know I'm getting it right, and I don't have to keep bothering people, or if they're not available, I know exactly where to go. And I just remember starting a new job, that made me feel good, like I could do it, and the tools were there, and so that's good for management because they don't have people constantly bothering them. Well, even though it wouldn't be a bother because someone's trying to do it right, but you're empowering your employees, which I think is really important.
Great. And so is this something where you do a tremendous amount of work to set this up once and then you can just be done with it and it just runs by itself for years and years, or does it take some maintenance? Once you have the system built, how do you run it?
I think with anything that you're working on, it's always a work in progress. If you're going to let the dust settle on that, piece of work that you worked on 10 years ago, or 5 or 1 or a couple months even, maybe a customer wasn't happy with something, or maybe you could improve upon it. I know, seasons change, you add things to your menu that you forgot about, or something gets taken off the menu, or a customer says, oh, that tomato salad should be on a plate, not a bowl. Or some of your employees think, when I set it up, it would really look better if we did it this way. So I think going over that, practicing it yourself, having a peer or neighbor maybe place a catering order and give you some honest feedback, like, how it would look, is really important. You want to always constantly be changing, evolving, and making it, work for you so that you're staying on top and being the best.
Got it. Well, Bridget, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. We appreciate it a lot.
No problem.